Time to find out if MVP from the team LGIM can remain a GSL player or not going into Heart of the Swarm.
That's what we're going to find out in our last best of 3 of the day. And, well, in the last game, we just saw a very, very quick 2-0 from Effort versus Bjall. And to give you guys a few additional information, Sedek just came along and he just said goodbye. And he told me, we talked a little bit about the game, and especially the last one that he played against Seed. And he told me when he saw those 4 High Templars, he was like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose this. And then he was so happy that, well, Seed only got 2 Storms off and dropped the High Templars on top of his army. He was like, that was really, really lucky. He thought he was in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, but as it is, he advanced. One of the players who was able to advance to the second round today is going to face Jan again. If you guys just tuned in, this is exactly the same order of matches that occurred in the last season.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Well, welcome SK Telecom T1 Sue. You've got a long road ahead of you. Unfortunately for you, you have to place the most consistent pro gamer of all time in your very first match in Code.
But lucky for him, he plays the correct race. Because the problem for MVP is, I'm going to touch on this later a little bit, that he is struggling against Zerg a lot. And he's still the favorite. Because of what you just said, he is the most consistent player that we have in StarCraft 2. He has so many titles, he won so many matches, he has so much experience. But this is one of those games where it's difficult to prepare for your opponents who played in Pro League. So we have a couple of games that you can watch, but it's very different to MVP, who played tons of Zergs in the last few months, and where you can get all this material to prepare.
Yes.
So it's going to be very, very difficult, I feel, for MVP. And this is one of those matches where you are very uncomfortable going in there. It's much better if you know a lot about your opponent.
Look at that ranking, though. It tells a lot. Ranking first versus new just goes to show a lot more experience in StarCraft 2. So even though he's facing a new guy, he knows how to handle situations like this. He's done it in the past. He's played a lot of noobs. I say noobs, but I mean new players. I don't mean noobs as in the derogatory term for a player who's not good at a game. That's funny how a noob became a word that means to insult someone, but it's not actually to call them a new player. That's how words evolve.
I'm completely with you on that.
Belshire Vestige's game number 1. MVP looking a little bit tired, trying to relax himself here. He's had some wrist problems in the recent past that may have affected his play a little bit. Loves meching against Zerg these days.
I can't actually remember a time when MVP didn't have wrist problems.
That's a good point.
So he's getting...
he doesn't care, man. He's like, whatever.
He's getting a lot of therapy for that, but it affects his training schedule as well. And well, the game has started, so let's jump into map number 1. MVP is up against Suo, our last best of 3 of the day here at the GSL Code A, the first round with Kaldon Wolf. The 4-time GSL champion starts at the bottom right of the map in red. We have for LGIM.
LGIM MVP.
Both his teammates today lost. 3 LGIM players so far in the afternoon session. Both of them lost. And he is the last one. His opponent starts the top left for SKT1. It is
SK Telecom T1 Sue.
There he is. Always weird to see an SKT1 player in blue, but it looks good on him.
I love that. Someone linked me. You remember me talking that I want this specific jersey, and someone linked me one of those jerseys. The big problem is, for some reason, online I can only find it for children, kid sizes. I don't really know why. I have no idea. So it's really weird because I love it. It really looks good. But apparently it's not available for like adults.
Maybe you just have to make a time machine, go back to when you were a kid and wear it, work out, and come back.
I would do that. If I could, I would.
Well, I would love for you to develop a time machine. If you do, though, you have to keep it a secret. You and I
I'll let you know.
the only ones to use it.
Well, I'll let you know, no problem.
We can control the world together, and no one will ever know.
I know exactly what you would do.
What?
You would travel into the future, you would look at tomorrow's haircuts, and then you would come back and rule the world.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I was like, all right. I'm like, does Caldo really know what I would do? I'm like, that's really weird.
Well, I just told you. Am I wrong?
No, yeah, that's exactly right. I was thinking more towards going back in time, but you were thinking towards going to the future.
You would stop casting StarCraft 2 and you would open up a hair studio, and then you would try to rule the world. That's actually why I wouldn't tell you about the time machine, because then I would lose you as a co-caster, and that's always like really awkward. I feel this works quite well, so
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure if I'm going to tell you.
I see what you mean, but the thing is, can I really rule the world with fashion and hairstyles?
If anyone can, it's you.
I guess that's true. I really appreciate you saying that. I'm glad you have this respect for me, Calder.
You know I do. But I can't really travel back in time, but what I can do is give you guys a few information about those two players with the matchup. I touched on this when we are heading into the game. And let's start with our Zerg here. The SKT1 Zerg player is really, really good against Terran these days. He faced two of them in the preliminaries, in the Code A qualifier. He took down STX Classics and he took down Leader. Both of those guys with the 2-0. He didn't drop a single map. And the same is true for a lot of matches that he played in the recent past. Thorzane in Pro League didn't stand a chance against Su. We had Innovation, the only one who was really able to beat the Zerg. Last was another victim of Su, so he's very, very strong in this matchup recently. He has a lot of good results. And then you try to have a quick look at his opponent. An MVP, of course, with hundreds of games under his belt. He won so many championships. But you go down his match history and you look specifically at the games against Zerg. And what you find is that he was defeated by Roro with the 2-0. He was able to... he was losing to Gosu user at Iron Squid with a 3-0. He lost to Lenok with a 2-0. Don Ragu defeated him with a 2-0. Then Don Ragu had to face him again, this time in Code S. Was able to take him down without dropping a single map. Nest-T won against him. Life won against him with a 4-3 in the GSL Code S finals. So MVP these days against Zerg, he has a very, very tough time.
Yeah. He definitely is.
And if you combine these two things, then yes, MVP is still the favorite because it's MVP.
Right.
But this is not going to be easy. Don't look at this game and be like, Su, who is that again? Oh yeah, the guy played Pro League once, right? MVP is going to crush him. That might happen, but right now, MVP has to be really, really careful.
He's doing something really interesting right now, which is to go for 3 barracks after the CC first rather than 2. He's going to get his add-on for the factory as well right away. But he wants to pressure here and try to force a cancel on this hatchery. The hatchery is so recently made that I think he will be able to force that cancel. The queens are going to take way too long. He could have done it, I feel, if he just walked around the other side and kept attacking, but since he did this, he definitely can't. The hatchery was so new, it had so few hit points, I think he could have forced a cancel. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to kill the drone, maybe with the queens coming down, but MVP gave up too early there.
Well, he tried to do some damage with the Marines and he pulled back, so he didn't lose any. We have, on the other hand, Su with the very nice overlords, but I really like this. He's getting overlords in position everywhere on the map, making sure the drop play later on is going to be very difficult for MVP. And he's getting his speed up. He has a third base, he has a decent creep spread. I really like how Su opens this game. I really like his position so far. Not a lot of pressure by MVP going into the reactor factory Hellions here, but Su is going for his tech, he's going for his gas, he has a decent amount of drones. Everything is set up nicely for him up to this point.
Su getting his lair going through here. MVP ahead in supply though, which is not always normal in this situation because he had those 3 barracks, so he was able to make the reactor for the Hellions and also at the same time continue his Marine production. This little ring pipe almost caught into his main base. The Marines continue their attack, the Hellions go for the defense. Su does not have the Bailing Nest, he's forced to make a ton of lings right now because he's desperate.
Yeah, he's getting all these Zerglings, but of course the creep is going to help him quite a lot, and he also has a fair amount of queens. He has 4 in total.
He killed his own creep tumor for some reason. I'm not sure.
The Hellions are there, and Su decides to commit the Hellions in a perfect position, roasting all of those Zerglings.
This is a great engagement for MVP. Now he finds himself in the half pipe here.
This is really good. MVP was able to take out all the Zerglings, and now suddenly the Queens are starting to run out of energy. The Marines are walking up the ramp. We don't have the Bailing Nest that you usually need to defend against this. Su would have been able to do it regardless, but he never saw those Hellions coming.
Yeah.
Until it was too late.
Until it was too late indeed. The Hellions doing so much extra DPS here for those Marines. Only the Marines start stepping back. The Hellions continue to do that DPS. And yeah, he will clean this force up, but he's made so many lings, his drone count is going to be very low at this point, even in Harvesters at this point in time. A situation that you never want to be in as a Zerg player who's also down in supply. MVP is going into mech, he goes double factory behind this.
Yeah, that did not really work as well as Sue was hoping for. He had everything in position, but then he decided that he could take down the Marines. Didn't really see the Hellions. Saw them, decided, okay, well, I have to attack. If I move back, I will lose at least 1/4 of my Zerglings. I can't really do that. I can't afford it. So he committed, and he lost too much. Now he's going into the Spire, and MVP did not kill his opponent's economy, but the position for him is a good one. He completes his orbital command, the third one. Has no clue about his opponent's tech choice, though. That much he doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He does have the armory to make Thors when he needs them. He's actually going to some Marines still, too, while he's doing this, which is kind of neat. I think he's not going to put in too much of the Marines, but just having a few of them to put in the bunker can be quite useful, obviously, especially against mutas.
You know, there are a lot of Hellions there, and yes, he's not going to commit too much on Tree because he doesn't know what's going, well, what exactly is happening, but there are 26 additional Zerglings and the Baning Nest isn't done yet.
I don't even understand MVP's build. I've never seen something quite like this. He's continuing to produce Marines. He's going for another attack with Hellions and Marines. Going into 1-1 as well for his Hellions only right now, which is only making Hellions. Now he starts to do Thors as he has an inkling of what's going on. This is not the best trade for MVP, but again, he kills these Lings cost efficiently, whereas his opponent doesn't really have a 3-base economy just yet. He's finally seeing those drones over there.
And now the Mutalisks are being built. He's going into Mutalisks, the Hellions trying to sneak in, another 2 are being taken out. There are so many Queens, he has to pull the drones away though. And that's exactly what he does. The Hellions trying to get a good angle, but it's not really easy and a good split too.
Yeah, he needs a few more shots to be able to clean out more of the drones. He sees the mutas. He already started Thors at home though. Still adds a few Marines once more.
But important is that Sue doesn't know what's going on here. He doesn't know about the mech. And the Mutalisks should not be able to do too much damage. He's probably going to fly down there, realize that there are already Thors waiting for him, and then backing off. They're not enough to go for, well, for magic boxing.
So these Hellions are going to get in here as well, by the way.
Sue needs road trip.
Yeah, he's going to need, at the very least, Spine Crawlers to defend Hellions. This is not good for Sue. He loses way too many Harvesters now. This time he's going to lose almost all of them. And if not all of them, the Mutas turn around, but it's a bit too late.
And he loses even more. He lost 14 already. He lost even more. At this point, 17 drones died. The Mutalisks are not a secret anymore, but with 2 Thors already down to defend the Terran player's army,
and he's still making Marines for some reason, so he's cut those as well. You know, MVP is one of the only players I've seen continue to make Marines as he's meching. Usually players do not like to spend any of their resources on that.
This is a very, very old thing that we saw Marine King do once against Lenok.
Was that on Terminus Re? I remember a game on Terminus Re that was similar to this.
It was on the winter version of Belcher Beach.
Oh, these mutas need to right-click better than that. There we go.
It can actually be really, really strong, but he plays it a little bit different. He also has tanks in his composition. But Marines themselves can be really good, especially if you are dealing, for example, with those Mutalisks too. If you stim and Mutalisks come in, it's a horrible position, and you have all the mech units to just throw back everything else. But right now,
yeah, as far as I know, yeah, he doesn't even have any add-ons for those barracks. He's not even researching stim. He's just adding Marines as a buffer, and it's decent. The longer the game goes, the worse it gets, but it looks like now he's stopped.
It's also, what do you commit the minerals to when you don't have the gas, the 5th and the 6th? You commit them usually to Hellions. But if you have too many Hellions, that doesn't do you too much good. The Marines there, it's a good choice, I feel. But it's very unusual. You're completely right. I haven't seen that done recently.
You know, well, hold that thought as a few more SVs get taken out. But during the beta, when Warhounds were inside of Heart of the Storm, I was making Marines with my mech army. I was making at first and then switching out of them. I think it feels good. It's exactly as you get this feeling of like, well, I can use these barracks. I already did Marine pressure earlier. Now I can use the extra minerals I have because I don't have the gas. I don't have that 3rd base yet to add the Marines, and now he's cut them out. Yeah. He's getting the extra Hellions instead.
He has the extra gas now. He has the gas number 5 and number 6, so he can build a lot more siege tanks and also Thors if he wants to. The ratio just is a lot better between his minerals and his gas now, and that's something that he didn't have earlier. So instead of building a huge bank or committing to the Hellions, he got a few Marines. He didn't even get stim for those, so it was just to help him against early aggression and be a bit safer here.
He's going to crush these Marines now, and MVP actually just targets them. He's going to try to target down some of the mutas, but the roaches will kill them.
What is a bit worrisome is that Su has the entire map now, and yes, the Hive Tech. Hive Tech is halfway done, and look at his creep spread. The guy is getting crazy. He just spread creep with, I think, 15 creep tumors. He controls half of the map already with them. And he is not only getting the 4th base, but he is getting into a 5th by now.
Yeah, it's getting out of control. 5th base on the way. 4 tanks of time being made for MVP, which is great and all against Roaches, but not against the Greater Spire that's going to start as soon as that Hive finishes. He does not have extra Vikings. He starts Viking production now. He's going to need more than that. A Fungal would end these Hellions, and he misses it. He does not get the Fungal. Now the Hellions are even getting into the natural again. With Blue Flame, this time it's a little bit more scary. Wow, so much damage done here by MVP. With just 4 Hellions.
Yeah. Very cost efficient here.
35 workers killed in total this game.
And also a very, very tank-heavy composition for MEP. And if he hits a good timing, the problem is with those tanks, the Roaches are not your best friend.
No, they're MVP's best friend, but
yeah.
Su, on the other hand, will start the Broodlord soon. This is a timing that MVP has to realize. He has to come in here before the Broodlords are ready.
He does. He moves out, so...
But can he get across that creep before the Broods are ready? The Rear Spire is halfway done. It looks like he's just going to hang out here and take the space and start another
you're right.
starport.
He's getting a forward planetary.
He should take a second starport, I feel, though.
I think he already...
You made
am I crazy?
I'll go check.
Yeah, could you double check? Because I actually already built one. Build the second one.
Still only has the one. He's making 4 Vikings at once out of it. Like, he's queued up 4.
I could have sworn that he had another one, but yeah, you're right. He only has one starport.
He has the resources to make another one if he wanted to. I really feel he should.
But now he's moving out. The planetary is nearly completed, so he moves out. 2 tanks being caught. But MVP doesn't even stop. Yeah. He doesn't even fall back. He's going for it now.
And, you know, he's just barely not going to hit that timing with the Greater Spire because the Broodlord's going to be done right as he reaches the doorstep. Well, you know, it's actually a little bit closer than that. The Broodlords are right here, right now, and they're being targeted.
Yeah, they're already being targeted. He has to commit. He needs to start to use the transfuse
energy. And here come the Fungals! Dubs Infested Terrans instead.
Yeah, the Infested Terrans are going to be taken out very soon with all these tanks. He doesn't even go into siege mode. It's much better this way.
Yeah, I like this choice to stay in tank mode. There are just barely enough Vikings with the Thor support, I think, to make this push work.
Yeah, as long as he has those Hellions in a good position to take down the Broodlings, it's going to be fine.
The Mutas trying to finish things off. The Thors,
One Thor doesn't do anything.
Yeah, the Thors need to be targeting here. He can't target both the Broods and the Mules. This is not Mana Mules. This is for repair. He needs to repair those Thors, and he cannot.
1 and 2. He can't get them. Both Thors are gone. The Mules a little bit delayed. The rest of the Vikings are now joining the battle. MVP already down to 120 supply. And Su is still on 200. He is reinforcing. Look at that bank.
He will take out these siege tanks. MVP just barely missed his timing. I feel he killed so many of MVP's drones. And, you know, if he'd attacked a little bit faster, it would have been so different.
He was a little bit too late. A second starport or just attacking a little bit earlier, but now Su is hunting down the few remaining units on the map.
7 more Broods. GG. MVP knows it's futile. What a great game by him. He just was a second too late. Quite literally there.
Yep. MVP down a game against Su. Struggling against Zerg, and Su against Terran is on a streak. And we could just see why. Yeah. Great creep spread, great
really
macro,
nicely done, and
good defense against MVP Hellions.
Yeah, he faced a lot of aggression from MVP, and MVP was even ahead at times, killed a lot of his harvesters, but he knew exactly how to play patiently and go for the late game on a big map like that. And game number 2 is on yet another big map, Neo Planet S. We've seen mostly Terran players come out on this map. This map is unlike Icarus. It's another 2-player map, but unlike Icarus, there's no gold base in the back, there's no free expansion, so you don't necessarily see timing attacks on this map. The third base is a little bit tough.
I'm worried for MVP.
Yeah, he looks stressed in there. He could be out of the GSL.
You know, when you look at statistics, you always have to be very careful of how you interpret them. But if you have these streaks and one player is dominating against Terran and the other one is struggling against Zerg, and then you face each other, sometimes it really just comes down to you having a bad streak and you're facing someone who's really dominating in the matchup at this point. And Su has shown that he is a good player. This was not him relying on some kind of all-in. And even at the point where people were like really arguing about Infestors, think about how many Infestors we saw in this game. This was just him playing really well. It was not the decisive factor in
This
the
was
match.
not about balance. This was not about a time attack. This was not about cheese. This was actually about good decision-making throughout a long game where MVP tried to hit a timing. It did not work. Did not add additional starports.
In the beginning, it actually didn't look too bad for him. I mean, the first attack was really well executed. Did a lot more damage than I expected he would. Su was also very surprised by this attack, you could see it. But his macro was really good. His injects, he always had lava available the entire game. He spread his creep, and that affected MVP a lot. The movements of the Terran player were reduced because of it. He was slowed down so much. Those Hellions killed drones, but they never traded as cost efficiently as he wanted to. And with the good lava mechanics that Su had, he could replace the drones really fast.
Really, really fast, in fact. Map, again, as mentioned before, Planet S, 2-player map, big map, good map for Terran, but not the type of map that MVP is practicing on too often. It's a new map for this season.
It's a map that Su is more comfortable with.
Exactly. This is tough maps for MVP to play on. Really big ones as well. He needs a win here. This is his last chance. If he loses here, it's all over. It's the last season of Wings of Liberty. This is the GSL Code. I am Wolf. With me as Caldor. Let's jump into game number 2.